What's going on, guys? Welcome to a new video. So today I'm going to be going through the top 10 questions I get asked about Shopify and about dropshipping. We're going to be covering everything then from what sort of address you need to use, do you need to register as a business, the new tax rules for the UK, delivery times, and a lot more obviously. The plan is to spend about a minute on each question, but if you want me to go into a bit more detail, all you've got to do is simply leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you right away. I do respond to every single comment, and then if necessary I can always record a specific video on a specific topic for you. So apart from that, thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned something new. I hope I answer one of these questions for you, and let's jump straight into it. So question number one, I get asked this, it must be on a daily basis, is do customers really wait 3 to 4 weeks? It typically comes from somebody who is new to dropshipping and perhaps have seen some form of a horror story in a Facebook group or something. The simple answer is no, customers will never wait 3 to 4 weeks. The odd customer might, but you're never going to be able to build a sustainable and profitable business in the long run if you're going to be delivering things in 3 to 4 weeks. The reason people think it's 3 to 4 weeks then is because they go into AliExpress, they see that quoted delivery time of 3, 4, even 5 weeks, depending on what the product is, and they think that is the date in which it's going to be delivered on, or delivered kind of in and around that date, when the actual reality is it will come a lot sooner than that. So as I record this video now at the beginning of April 21, then the delivery time for AliExpress standard shipping to the UK is in and around sort of 10 to 14 days, so it is a lot quicker than the actual quoted time. The reason they quote such a long time is because if it arrives after that time, you can actually open up a dispute with the supplier and get your money back. And if they're shipping orders, if they're shipping products, sorry, for 10, 15, 20, even 50 pounds, and they're having to refund people for that, that's potentially a lot of money that they could lose that'll be out of their own pocket. So it's much safer from their perspective to kind of quote that really long delivery time, let it arrive a lot sooner, and then obviously they'll be a lot safer and they'll have less disputes and less refunds to dish out. So just to recap, ignore the delivery times on AliExpress. To the UK and to the US, I believe it's around 10 to 14 days AliExpress standard shipping. If you use somebody like CJ Dropshipping, depending on what the product is, whether it's got a battery in or whether it's just kind of like a standard CJ packet, then to the UK you're looking at 7 to 10 days, and I believe to the US even faster than that. However, I haven't tested that myself. So depending on who you go with and what the product is, in reality you can get it a lot faster than 3 to 4 weeks. Question number two, how long does it take to make your first sale? So a super relevant question when people want to start a new business. They're super excited to get going, and everybody remembers their first sale. So my first sale was on the 26th of June 2016, and I'll never ever forget that because this was brand new for me too when I first started. The best way to answer this question then is, I would say within 3 days of running your first Facebook ad. So depending on how long you have to put into your business, obviously depends on how long it takes you to get your store to a point where it's ready to start advertising products. But I myself, I think I saw my first sale the second day I was running ads at £5 per day. So as soon as you've got your ads running and you've done your targeting correctly, there's no reason why you can't see that very first sale in those first few days too. So to answer this question, within 3 days of running your very first Facebook ad. Question number three then, do I need to start a business before I start selling on Shopify, before I start dropshipping, whatever it is you choose to do? And I believe as I record this video, so at the beginning of April 21, then I think I'll find a screenshot and put it on the screen now, but if you're based in the UK, then I think it's £1,000. So once you've made £1,000 profit, then you have to start declaring it to HMRC, to the government. And you can do that in many ways, but the two main ways are either registering for what is called self-assessment, which basically means you fill out some forms at the end of every tax year, inputting how much money you've made, expenses, so on and so forth, a bit like a profit and loss. And then the other main way, is to register as a limited company, which means you need to bring on an accountant who will submit your books again at the end of every financial year for your business. So there's two different ways. Depending on how you do it will completely depend on your personal circumstances. So I myself, because I have property that isn't in a business, then everything I do is always within a business to try and protect those assets. Essentially, when you register as a limited company, it becomes a separate financial entity, and any money, any kind of credit rating, anything like that, any assets within the company are then separated from yourself. The best advice I can give, in fact, to answer this question is to speak to a professional, speak to an accountant, because they'll ask you lots of different questions about your own circumstances, your personal income, and so on, and they'll help you make that best decision. That's what I did. Question number 4, how much money do I need to start dropshipping? I mean, you can start dropshipping with as little as £50. It costs you $30, $29 to get your Shopify store essentially live. It doesn't cost you any money to get products on your site. So essentially for $29, you can have a up and running business. Now, obviously that's not practical. You need to pay for some form of marketing to get ads onto your site. I would say £500 is a decent budget. It will allow you to kind of start slowly, but it will limit you to how quickly you can scale and how quickly you can reinvest into your business. Ultimately, the best way to answer this question is as much as possible, but I would say once you have at least £500, then that gives you kind of at least the first month or a couple of months of testing really slowly to kind of dip your toes in. And kind of get to grips with how Facebook ads work and how to run a business basically. If you're new to this, then I will recommend to everybody, regardless of whether you have, say, £500 to invest or £5,000 to invest, I would always say start slowly, spending little amounts. Make all those mistakes spending, say, £5 a day rather than spending £500 per day. Question number 5, what address shall I put on my store? So to answer this question, it's completely up to you. So when I first started, I was on quite a tight budget, so I put my home address. I soon realized that as people start sending returns back to me, I didn't really want it coming to my dad's house. At that point, I used to live at home with my dad. So I invested in what was called a virtual office. It's basically a building that has physical offices in which people can go and rent. And because there's a concierge and a secretary, they basically lease out virtual addresses. So it's nothing physical, but they essentially allow you to register your business there, get posts sent there, and you can go and pick it up, or they'll post things for you and kind of take on that secretarial role for you, so to speak. There are other ways too. There are other businesses and services you can do so. I'll put on a screenshot now of, I think they're called UK Postbox, of all the different pricing and plans they have. There's lots of different ways. You can use a PO box with Royal Mail. So it's completely up to you. You can put your home address, or you can use a virtual address, or you can use one of these other kind of virtual office services, which I believe are sort of anywhere from kind of like £10 to £30 per month, depending on what you want them to do for you. If you have the money, I would say it's 100% worth having a proper address, a professional address. It'll make your business look that much more professional and therefore trustworthy. And obviously you haven't got to worry about privacy issues or anybody potentially showing up at your house. Now, I dropshipped, I believe, probably for maybe 18 months, 12, 18 months before I got a virtual address. So I was using my home address for all that time and nobody came and knocked on my door. I don't think you'll ever have to worry about it, but from my own kind of personal standpoint of view, I just prefer to separate the two. Question number 6, should I start a general store or a niche store? So this is a really important question if you're a beginner, because you don't want to put lots of work into a particular store, find out it's not working, then have to start scratch and kind of redesign and rebrand a completely new store. So I would say it's difficult to answer this actually. It's probably 50-50, or depending on what your long-term goals are. So if you're not worried about what kind of products you sell, you just want to sell something that makes money, I would say definitely start with a general store, because it gives you that flexibility to rapidly test through different products. And then once you find something work, definitely transition that into a branded store. But if you're not worried about kind of hopping on different trends, trend hopping I like to call it, and you just want to kind of build a brand and you're still happy to work your job for the next 6-12 months where you build something in the background, pick a niche you have an interest in. It will come in handy when it comes to things like creating content, finding interests to target, and actually product selection and product development itself. So if you're happy to do that, then definitely just go straight to a niche store. Question number 7, can you still dropship to the UK after Brexit? The short answer is yes, you can. However, the point in which you pay VAT and the amount in which you pay VAT on has changed. However, it is still doable. There's a lot of pros to the new rules, but there's also a lot of cons to the new rules. This is a topic which I will definitely be covering in its own video, to kind of give you both sides, if you like, right now, just to kind of like touch on the surface. So you used to pay VAT at the point of import. As it goes through customs, they would check the value of the packet and then they would issue an invoice. The delivery company, would issue an invoice at the point of delivery, or they'd put the invoice through your door and you would have to go online and pay it, or go to the post office and pay it before you could get that actually particular product. But now it is charged on the point of sale, which means there's none of that paperwork. Essentially, you have to keep a record. It's our responsibility now if you drop ship from outside of the UK and EU into the UK, and it's our basically responsibility now to collect that VAT and then pay it quarterly to the government. Whilst it may sound ultimately like a bad thing, I think the fact we've left the EU now opens up lots of different potential opportunities that I think the UK will take advantage of once we've got COVID under control. But the immediate kind of benefits to it are we can now drop ship any value of products regardless, and then we're going to have to pay VAT on it. So we can start drop shipping more expensive products which have bigger profit margins to kind of counteract that VAT that we have to pay now. The other advantage is it kind of forces people to either source products in bulk, which in turn will benefit their business because they can offer shorter shipping times, which will increase their conversion rate and increase their profitability. So it kind of transitions people from drop shipping into sourced in bulk a lot quicker, which in my opinion is a much more beneficial thing to do for your business. Point number 8, how do I deal with returns? This is something, there's a lot of confusion around this particular question because obviously the product for a lot of people comes from China. Does it go back to the supplier in China? No, it doesn't. Whatever you do, if you try and tell your customer to ship an item back to China, then they will send you a very unpleasant email, trust me. So either it depends on the scenario. So if it's a really cheap product and it's broken, no point them sending it back to you. Let them keep it and send them a new one. If it's a really expensive product and it's broken, I'd get them to send it back to you. If they've just changed their mind and it's expensive, definitely get it sent back to yourself. If it's a cheap product, I'd still get them to send it back to yourself, because then you can keep that as emergency stock. Should somebody send you an email of if this product isn't delivered by the end of so and so and gives you like a deadline, if you have that little kind of quantity of stock in your house or your office, wherever it is, that you can use to kind of deal with customers like that. And when I say get it sent back to yourself, get it sent to your virtual office so you can go and pick it up, or they'll forward it on to you, or just get it sent back to your home address. Question number 9, I think this one is probably worthy of a video on itself because a lot of this depends on what the product actually is. So should I use Facebook ads, Google or Instagram, etc.? So to give you kind of like a brief overview of the 3 different platforms, I would say Facebook ads are great for trending products that are super specific to a particular interest. So for example, dog products, obviously it's super easy to target dog owners and specific owners of certain breeds, which make products like that ideal. Things like personalized print on demand is great for Facebook too. Google is great for selling products that people are currently looking for to buy. So obviously when people are on Facebook, they're not in a buying mood, they're not looking to spend money. So the products you pick have to kind of be in line with that. Whereas people go onto Google and they will search for products they want to buy on Google. So it kind of opens up the scope and the type and the criteria behind the product changes. So products like that work really well on Google. So for example, if you try to sell a sofa on Facebook, you'd struggle. But if you tried to sell it using Google Ads, I think it'd be a lot easier because people genuinely go onto Google and search buy sofa or cheap sofas or whatever it is. And then finally, we have Instagram. Anything that's really visual or brand heavy does really well on Instagram because when I say Instagram, I'm going to assume influencers because this is what typically most people will use it for. Influencers are great for getting that instant validation for your particular product. So to try and advertise something as a new business with a small following, people aren't going to buy into you and your brand to begin with. It's going to take time. Whereas if you hand over your product to a really popular influencer, then instantly that trust they have in that influencer instantly transfers over to you and your business. So when it's a product like if you're trying to start a new clothing brand or a watch or something like that, which is super difficult to target specifically on Facebook, then products like that really work well on Instagram. And then finally, we have question number 10. If you're still stuck with me this long, I really do appreciate it. So thank you very much. Why aren't people buying from my store? So again, I'm going to do a specific video on this topic, but basically it can come down to 3 different things. I touched on these in the core elements, the 3 keys to any successful Shopify store yesterday. So if you haven't seen that video, make sure you go and watch it. But basically, it's if you're getting lots of people onto your site and they're not buying, then the problem lays on your site. Your site obviously is putting people off because they're not buying. If they're not even hitting the add to cart button, then there's some serious issues. It could be the imagery, it could be the layout, it could be the text, it could be the font, it could be the price of the product, it could just be the overall look of your site. If nobody's clicking your ads, then it's one of 2 things. It's either you're targeting the wrong audience or you have a product that people just aren't interested in. You'll be able to see this straight away depending on what your cost per link click and your click-through rate is. If you've got a cost per link click of over £2 per link click, then that could be an indicator. But obviously there's lots of other things like your quality rankings and things like that. And then the third one is obviously the product itself. And again, this will be reflected in the results and the information coming back from Facebook. But there will be a specific video where I'll show you some infographics and just dive a lot deeper and with a lot more detail into this question. And with that being said, then guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope I answered those questions adequately for you or not. If not, please do come back to me, leave a comment in the comment section down below. I will read it and see it, and I will respond to you. And one very final and quick thing then before you go, if you are looking for a course to kind of hold your hand through the whole process of starting an e-commerce business, then please make sure you check out my e-com academy. We've had some awesome results recently from some of the members. To give you kind of like a brief overview, then it comes with all the step-by-step video guidance that you'll need, but then it also comes with the support and kind of hand-holding, if you like, from myself and the academy team. So regardless of what point you're at in your journey, if you need help with anything, you can reach out to me and you'll get an answer directly from me. If you still have your hesitations about joining, there is a free callback service too, so me and you can jump on the phone together, talk together, go through any kind of hesitations or questions or what it involves, and ultimately just see if the e-com academy is going to be the right fit for you or not. And with that being said, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.